you ever wondered about your stress? Please join Robin Devine of the Lymph Balance Centre and myself, Megan Barefoot of No Shoes Nutrition, on Barefoot Bliss and Divine Wellness, where we're going to talk about stress. We're going to give you some tips and tricks, and we're going to tell you all things that you can start doing today to help mitigate that stress in your life.
We'll see you then. Welcome to Barefoot Bliss and Divine Wellness, where we explore the transformative powers of holistic health practices and real-life practicality. I'm Robin Devine, and I'm inviting you on a journey towards radiant well-being and inner harmony.
Hi, welcome back to Barefoot Bliss and Divine Wellness. Today we're going to be talking about stress and how stress is going to affect your wellness. I'm here with Robin Devine, and we want to jump right in.
Totally.
Yeah.
So stress is one of those things that shows up in every facet of your life. And so, when we wanted to look at breaking down the different things that affect you on a day-to-day basis, there's kind of like these big pillars of health. And we like to sort of break it down in that way and show you how it works between nutrition, lymphatics, overall wellness, and how they all connect.
One of my biggest pet peeves when I'm talking to my clients is when they don't acknowledge the stress that they are under. And it can be very detrimental because if we are not listening to what our body is telling us, then things can go wrong. We need to acknowledge the stress that we're under. So one of the questions I always ask my clients is, give me a rating out of 10 for your stress. Stress at 10 being the highest level of stress, 0 being no stress. And right now, I can tell you, I won't believe you if you tell me, oh, my stress is 1 or 2.
No, it's
because
not possible.
there are so many factors in life, as we have set it up as human beings, that are contributing to stress levels. When you talk to your clients, I know that you ask about stress levels as well.
Well, and stress shows up in so many different ways. Like people associate it 100% with like work stress. And that's a really simplistic way of looking at it. There's emotional stress, there's physical stress, there's good stress, there's bad stress, there's, mother-in-law kind of stress. There's
Let's back up just a second, because you just said good stress and bad stress.
There is.
And that is something I think is worth diving a little bit deeper into.
Yeah, I didn't want to go back to mother-in-law stress, so that's a good idea. So there's a kind of stress called eustress, which is a good kind of stress. So, having activities that you're doing with your kids, exercising, planning a big birthday event, those can be forms of good stress, where you're putting your body through movement of like different ways of moving oxygen and nutrients and, mental kind of stress, but still in a positive way. It's not disrupting your sleep patterns. It's not making you cry. It's not making you try to avoid the event, but there's still forms of good stress.
Absolutely. My favorite are always, we bought a new house and we're moving, or we're getting married and planning a wedding. Those are super exciting events. However, they still create a lot of stress, a lot of extra work in your life. And you're right, a lot of people, if they don't have financial stress, if they don't have work stress, they think everything's great. A lot of people don't also acknowledge the stress that's coming from what's happening inside their body. And the fact that too much stress is bad, but also too little stress is not great either. So we need a little bit of stress to get us motivated and to perform. That's why kids, when they're bored at school, don't necessarily do great, and they may get called into the principal's office and they act out a little bit because they're bored, because they're not stressed enough. They're not being challenged. We need to have challenge. It's when that challenge tips over the peak of stress where it becomes too much and the body can't recover anymore.
Yeah.
So what are some of your top tips that you would say are super helpful for just an everyday person to help reduce stress?
So stress is such a huge factor when it comes to your immune system. And so of course this is where I hang out a lot, is people coming in, they're constantly sick. Oh my God, I have sinus infection again. How come I keep getting sick at Christmas? Oh my gosh, why is it always around April tax season that, I got horrible allergies, and then they're fine. And so stress impacts the way your immune system functions. So we love talking about hydration, so that's a huge piece that we'll come back to later, but you need to find activities that are enjoyable to you, that help you deal with your stress. So whether it's going for a walk, if it's, meditating, if it's deep breathing, for me, I'm an artsy fartsy kind of girl. So like I have my crochet and I have my painting and I like watching movies, and that helps me handle and deal with my stress. Whereas my son, who's on the spectrum, bike riding, physical activity challenges him and allows for him to de-stress. So when I see huge anxiety, stress coming from him, I'm able to sort of redirect him exercise-wise. My daughter, though, super smarty, I have to give her physical challenges. We have to do like crosswords, or we have to do something that distracts from the stress or allows for them to process the stress. So the relaxation format, and for us in sort of holistic health, it's massages or acupuncture, or are you doing yoga? Do you like to go swimming? How can we find a nice balance in our day-to-day activities, right? So, but what always has changed a lot for me in the last year has also been the types of foods that I'm consuming, and that's like your central. So what kind of things do you suggest clients are looking at within their diet or with what they're consuming to balance out stress?
That's a really good question. And first and foremost, I have to just acknowledge that when we're under stress, when we are feeling pressure, a lot of us will emotionally eat, and we will turn to comfort foods to get comfort. And that is not necessarily the best strategy for people who are trying to be healthy, because when you're stressed, what happens is your cortisol levels rise in your body. And over time, especially with chronic stress, cortisol has some detrimental effects, including raising and imbalancing your insulin levels and your blood sugar levels. So the worst thing we can do is choose to eat the comfort foods that we're so accustomed to bringing in, like the chips and the buns and the donuts and the cakes, and
everyone's guilty of this. Let's just
everyone
totally honest, right?
Nobody has gone through this at some point. Yeah.
No.
I agree. I totally agree. And so what I really recommend is getting deep and going deep and figuring out, what are you hungry for when you're stressed? Is it actually a donut? Or, and let's be honest, sometimes the donut solves a lot of problems once in a while, right? Everything in moderation, okay? But if you find that you're constantly using that as a crutch for your stress, really go deep and figure out what you're hungry for. Are you hungry for a conversation? Do we need to talk about the problem? Do we need a hug? A hug, like a real hug.
Yes,
not a like, hey, how's it going? Like a hug where you're holding on. I think it's like 21 seconds or something, where you get the oxytocin burst, and
that
you
awkward hug with like people that you don't know very well. But there's a whole bunch, like there's the Touch Research Institute, and it's huge. Like that's why, physical massage or physical touch in any capacity reduces your cortisol levels and helps you relax and find, how many times do you do that nice big hug? You're sitting next to somebody, you go, like you just release so much tension.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you were talking about the different things that you do for your kids.
Yeah.
When you find that they're stressed, that's what they're hungry for, right? That's what they need. And we need to burn off that cortisol, because when we're stressed, we're in what we call fight or flight, which there's not very many stressors in our lives, financial, work, that we can fight our way out of or run away from.
We try.
So, well, we can try, but then the stress just builds, right? So we have to figure out how to burn that cortisol off. And so that's where the physical activity or the mental activity that you're talking about with your daughter helps to physically burn that cortisol out of your body and out of your blood. You use it up. You have to figure that out. Some people need to like take a pillow and scream really loud into it, right? Have you ever watched Bad Moms, or that movie where they sing super, super loud in the car and they're screaming, and like that is burning stress off right there. And punching things. So there's very good ways of, not your boss, we don't want to be punching our bosses, but go and practice. I brought my kids to martial arts. It was like the best thing I think I could have ever done for them, because they get to punch things really hard. And then at the end of it, they bring all the kids back together and they quiet their minds with a tiny bit of, age appropriate meditation. And, for some of us, meditation is not the answer. If I have to sit and quiet my mind, I am literally getting angrier and angrier and angry. I'm like your kids. I need to have that stimulation. And running sprints is a great way, or interval training, because you get that burn and then you calm it back down. Get the burn and bring it back down. Yeah. So, and we'll talk about that more when we get to our pillar of movement.
Yeah.
But what would be the biggest thing that you do for yourself for stress?
There's so many things, and it's finding that thing that works for you. So for me, being in a session, receiving a massage or craniosacral or lymphatic, because stress manifests physically as well. So I know when people have adrenal fatigue, we have congestion in the adrenals, in the kidneys, in the spleen, in the pancreas, in the liver, and sometimes that's only related to stress. So finding those little keys are the things that work well for you. So for me, it's art or it's physical contact in a healing facility where I have to literally slow down. I have no other option. I have to slow down.
Yeah. For me, it's quality time. Finding quality time with someone I can talk about the issue with, and really me talking it out usually gets it out of my system, so I'm not ruminating on the problem, and then coming up with a solution is much easier.
So Megan, if individuals want to reach out and talk to you about how they can handle stress or dealing with their nutrition in general, the best way to do that is
to visit my website, www.noshoesnutrition.com, and they can also contact me by email, which is just Megan, MEGAN, @noshoesnutrition.com. And I would love to help talk to people about how nutrition can help with stress levels. And how can people get a hold of you, Robin, to work with you?
I love talking lymph. So if you want to talk about lymph and how it affects your body, so my company is Lymph Balance Centre, so www.lymphbalance.com, or you can always email me, Robin, which is spelled correctly, ROBIN, @lymphbalance.com, and we'd love to chat. So we're really looking forward to diving into more of these awesome pillars. So stay tuned, because we've got at least 3 more, probably 5. So stick around, and we'd love for you to join us when we do our very next podcast about pillars of health.
See you next time on Barefoot Bliss and Divine Wellness. As we conclude another enriching episode of Barefoot Bliss and Divine Wellness, remember to embrace that journey towards optimal health with open hearts and minds. I'm Megan Barefoot, urging you to step boldly into your wellness journey. Until we meet again, stay vibrant.